All right, game number 5 for the Celtics as they look to even the score against the Bucks in Milwaukee. I'm your host, Josue Pavon. Welcome into another edition of the Celtics pregame report for CLNS Media, and welcome back my guest, Gery Woelfel of the Racing Journal. What's up, Gery? Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Off to a wacky NBA start, huh? Some crazy things have already gone down.
Yes, wacky to say the least. Hey, Gery, the last time we spoke, I was in Cleveland in my Airbnb, and this was hours before the start of the NBA season. Never could I have imagined what would transpire at the Q in the opening minutes of the first quarter. So, Gery, I'll ask you the same question that's been asked this entire week throughout the city of Boston. How can the Celtics salvage their regular season?
Well, I'll tell you what, knowing Danny Ainge, I don't think he's going to stand pat. I think he's going to do some wheeling and dealing. You know, obviously the deadline isn't until February, so he's got plenty of time, but I'm sure knowing Danny, he doesn't want to wait around. So it wouldn't shock me if they pulled off some kind of a trade. I know their name hasn't been mentioned in the Bledsoe trade rumors, but I did hear his name was Boston over the summer. And who knows, maybe they'll go down that route and check out Bledsoe. I mean, what an addition he would be if they could pull that off. But, no, I really think he's going to do something. And he didn't go out and get Kyrie to be a 4th or 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. He went out to get Kyrie to be the number 1 seed. So I would fully expect him to do something.
So the Bucks have certainly been a fun team to watch. I mean, 3-1 entering tonight's contest, and that Giannis Antetokounmpo guy, he's been ridiculous. I mean, what's this guy's deal? He's averaging 36.8 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 2.3 steals, and a lot of MVP chance. No question, an early favorite to win the honor. Gery, is it solely based on him to earn that award, or do you think it'll eventually come down to how the Bucks rank in the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to the Bucks ranking in the Eastern Conference. I mean, they certainly have, at the very least, got to make the playoffs. And as you well know, the Eastern Conference isn't exactly stacked or loaded. I would pencil the Bucks into the playoffs already. Now it's a question of how high they can finish in the standings. And you know, it's interesting. I don't know if you saw Bovada. It's a sports gambling website. And before the season came out, I think Giannis was like the 6th or 7th highest person to be picked to win the MVP. Well, after 3 games, he goes from 6th or 7th to number 1. so they must feel pretty good about Giannis's crazy start.
Yeah, I guess that small sample size, is good enough to convince him. Wow, that's quite a leap. I mean, he's been that good. It's been tremendous.
He really has, and I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about when Giannis first came in. I had asked a bunch of players and coaches, like, what is his ceiling? And nobody really said anything ridiculous. They all said, he's going to be a very good player at some point, but nobody expected superstardom. In fact, one veteran player who has been in the league probably about 10 years and basically seen all the great players over that time, said to me, he goes, I think his ceiling is going to be Andre Kirilenko.
Jeez. Oh, man.
And this is a guy I really respect, but, at that particular time, he just thought Giannis was going to be a very nice player, a very good player, but certainly not a superstar.
You're not making that guy eat his words after saying something like that? Man, I haven't heard that name in quite some time.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I guess I'm not that ruthless, you know what I mean? I wouldn't
let that guy live that down. I got to be honest with you, man. That's just the way I would do it.
Yeah. No, I talked to Larry Drew the other day, and he was the Bucks coach when they drafted Giannis, and he thought he was going to be a very good player at some point, but he didn't expect him to be this good this quickly. I mean, the kid is only 22 years old, and like you said before, I mean, the guy's a legitimate MVP candidate, and when you look at the young players out there, I mean, the only other 2 bigs that I would take with him are Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Davis, but that's it. Unless, Embiid stays healthy, and then, that changes everything. But those 4 players are definitely the future of the NBA.
Yeah, Anthony Davis is definitely a guy who Celtics fans over here in Boston are still salivating over.
Right, exactly.
This edition of the Celtics pregame report is brought to you by Greats.com. Head over to Greats.com, the makers of great, classic, stylish, and comfortable sneakers sold at a great price. Head to Greats.com and enter the promo code Celtics Roundtable and save yourself 15% off your first purchase. Gary, last week, these two teams faced off in Boston. The Celtics blew a fourth quarter lead after getting what I called Giannis for 37 points. And that's my new verb for the young fella. And Irving couldn't find the bottom of the net. In the likelihood we see the same scenario present itself tonight, who's another member of that Bucks team that you can see stepping up alongside the Greek Freak?
Well, the guy that has to step up is Chris Middleton. I mean, he's going to be the Robin to Giannis's Batman, and he's played relatively well, and they won, games in which he played well, and when he hasn't played well, they've struggled. So he definitely has to get somewhere between 18 and 22 points to complement Giannis. And then, Brogdon has gotten off to a great start. He was the NBA Rookie of the Year, but he's been plagued by what they're saying is an ankle injury, and a lot of people around here are wondering if it's not his foot because he's had a history of foot problems dating back to his days at the University of Virginia. So everybody's, crossing their fingers that it's not the foot, that, it is an ankle, and he'll bounce back quickly.
Yeah, we spoke briefly about him last week, and that's somebody I thought that would certainly step it up a bit the second time around. But I guess the injuries, once you're plagued, I guess.
Yeah, and Teletovic had a really good game the other night. That was one of his best games since they brought him on board from Phoenix, last summer. And if Teletovic can hit that three-point shot, the Bucks become that much more effective, and it certainly helps Giannis because, they have to honor Teletovic's three-point shooting. And Brogdon's turned out to be a pretty good three-point shooter. So those two guys in particular, if they play well on the perimeter, it's going to make Giannis even more difficult to guard.
All right, Gary, last question. You know what it is. Who wins tonight?
Yeah, I really nailed the one in Boston, didn't I?
Hey, to your credit though, this is way before we knew what kind of season it's going to be for the Celtics, before Gordon Hayward went down. So I give you credit for that.
Yeah. No, I think this season they're going to get some revenge. I think they're starting to feel a little more comfortable. I mean, let's face it. I mean, they brought in a ton of new faces, and I really believe it was going to take them until probably the All-Star break before they got truly comfortable with each other. But I've been encouraged about how quickly they've gelled, and expect them to be right there.
All right, he is Gery Woelfel. You can check out his stuff, of course, at the Racing Journal. And, of course, you can follow him on Twitter, at Gery Woelfel. Gary, can't thank you enough, man. I love having these conversations. We'll definitely have to do this again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks again.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Celtics pregame report. Special thanks once again to Gery Woelfel for stopping by, and to everyone who tuned into yet another edition of the Celtics pregame report. You can follow Gary on Twitter at Gery Woelfel, GeryWoelfel. In case you guys are wondering how to spell that, that's how you follow him on Twitter. Be sure to check out the Celtics postgame show right after the game. You can call in toll free at 347-215-7771. I will be the host for that one, so I'd love for you to stop by and check in with me. Again, the phone number to call is 347-215-7771. You can listen to it live or you can listen to it on demand on the CLNS Media mobile app. Weekday shows air on the Celtics Newsfeed channel, on iTunes, Stitcher, and the CLNS Media mobile app. For today's Boston Celtics pregame report with Josue Pavon, this is Josue Pavon signing off.